Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode of Duel Links. Run! No, hold on. Stay with me. Hear me out. Paleos. Shaddolls. Paleos. Alright, now that I've got your attention, hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. Today we are talking about Duel Links Shaddoll Paleo, a deck that I have come up with on, the spot, because honestly I was just playing Duel Links, getting really bored, and went, hey, what if I threw in some Paleos? To be fair, this singular card took me 2,000 gems, because you can't craft it, you have to pull it. Crafting system when, Konami, please. There are enough cards that you could honestly do this for a lot of the older stuff and nothing would change. But Anyway, beside the point, we're going to talk about Duel Links in a second, because I first want to talk about this deck and just the stuff that I did with it. So yeah, just quickly going through the card by card. Starting off, we do need some sort of light monster to get into Construct, so of course we're playing two Vere, because it gets us into Magisterial Invocation, which is a fusion spell, which allows us to then utilize that to immediately go into a fusion. Pretty cool. Then of course we're playing a bunch of Shaddolls, 2 Beasts, 3 Wendy, 2 Dragon, 2 Squamata, 2 Hedgehog, and a Falco. Yeah, these just seem like pretty good ratios. Wendy is absolutely insane, and it's a different attribute, which is pretty nice. There's that. This also allows us to have, with just these monsters, it allows us to actually trigger our skill, which requires only Spellcaster or Shaddoll monsters. So there you go. Now the Paleos don't count, because they're traps. So there you go. We're only running the good Paleos. I originally did this with more Paleos, but then I was like, I don't need Morella. That card is just bad. So we're just running the good ones. So we're playing, of course, 2 Dynamicious. This should be 3, realistically. This card's very, very good. I only have 2, so I'm only playing the 2. This should just be 3. Just straight up. We're playing 3 Olenoids and 3 Canadia, as well as the 2 Crackdown. That's it for the traps. The only reason we're playing Crackdown as opposed to other Paleos or something like that is, 1, because I need some sort of removal, and 2, Crackdown is absolutely obscenely absurd. It's probably the best trap in the game right now. It's not probably. It is the best trap in the game right now, and it shows. This is based on popularity, by the way. Phoenix, makes sense. Back row removal, generic link, monster, great, fantastic, and then Crackdown. It's higher than MST. That shows you something. It's higher than Blue Eyes. That also shows you something. So yeah, this card's absolutely insane. So there you go. And then we have a few other Shaddoll cards. We have the 3 Shaddoll L Shaddoll Fusion and the 2 Re-Shaddoll Incarnation. Again, to trigger our skill so that we have these to just send to the graveyard. They're also very nice to have in general. I'm not going to explain what these cards do, because you should know. You should know what Paleos do. You should know what Shaddoll does. If you don't, they do stuff on flip and if they're sent to the graveyard. There you go. That's all I'm going to give you. Anyway, we have a pretty tight extra deck, all things considered, because we're playing 2 Construct, 1 Gristia, and 1 Wendigo. Wendigo is pretty important, mostly due to the fact that it allows us to use Wendy, and anything else, basically, to go into a Shaddoll fusion monster, which can then be utilized to get something back from grave, or to kind of continue our combo with things like the Gravity Controller. Gravity Controller is also very, very important, so there's that. I would like to be able to cut this card, but you kind of can't right now, because you just don't have enough of, Shaddoll monsters, enough Shaddoll fusions to really utilize other monsters and stuff like that. For example, we don't have Apcalone, we don't have Sheki Naga, stuff like that. We don't even have the water one, whatever it's called. I can't remember its name. It's very difficult to say. So, all things considered, these are kind of our only options, because we only get Winda from the skill. So, tragic. Anyway, we have 1 Opabinia. This is only in here as a one-of, because, again, we're not really playing too many Paleos, but more importantly, we don't really need any other rank monsters. There aren't really good rank 2 monsters. Let me show you what we are working with in terms of rank 2s, and you're gonna be like, yeah, no, that's understandable. So these are all of our rank 2s. We could play, to be fair, we could play Anomalocaris, but it's also very bad because it requires 3 level 2 monsters, which is a lot more difficult to work with in Duel Links in particular. So not as useful. And, you know, I mean, Mannequin Cat's good. Kind of. But not really. But I mean, it's kind of good. You know, there's not really too much that we can, like, do with a lot of these monsters. So, for the most part, I'm just like, we'll just play the Opabinia and get our searches, which is pretty good. And instead, I'm going to play things like Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn, which I think are just overall better cards. Like, they're generically accessible, so you can use them with either the Shaddoll or with the Paleos. So there you go. Then we have the one Gravity Controller, as I mentioned, which is pretty important. And that's it. That's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Not very well. Alright, so here we are going, I believe, I first. There you go. Here we are going first, and let's see what we can do. We're going to activate our skill. We're going to dump the 2 to the grave, and, well, it's not the greatest of hands, but, I mean, set 2 pass. Not really much more that we can do there. They're going to activate the most absurd, obscene skills that you have ever had. What the fuck is this? Just ignore it. It's fine. Anyway, out comes Synchro Chase. They're going to add their Junk Synchron to hand just for free. Then they're going to activate its effect in order to go into the Speed Warrior. And I'm like, let's not do that. Out comes Winda. Trigger the Dragon, trigger the Shaddoll Falco to set the card. They randomly set this card. So there's that. Away goes Stardust Respark. I'm not reading that shit. Anyway, out comes Gravity Controller, and then we're going to activate the effect of the Winda here because I want to grab up the Reincarnation. This will then allow me to reset the Shaddoll Dragon here, and then I'm just going to put back the Winda, set 2, and pass. There's not much more that I could have done there. I don't have access to a light. I don't have access to a fire. I don't really have access to a whole bunch of things, so not really a whole lot that I can do. Now, this is where playing like Artemis would be really useful. I just link off this Shaddoll Falco into Artemis, and then I fusion summon with the Artemis and the Dragon that I just got in order to, one, pop a card, but then go into Construct, which gets us our whole engine rolling. Now, yeah, that's honestly like a really good play. The problem is then you have to like cut something else out, like, you know, a Wendigo or something like that. I don't know. It's probably more worthwhile. I didn't play too much with this because I hate this game. Anyway, out comes this guy, and I'm like, oh, huh. So, I've kind of done this weird, because I thought this was, I thought they had to, like, normal summon a guy. They didn't, they hadn't normal summoned here, and because of the way that their skill works, I kind of need to bounce this guy to the hand. Anyway, so I do things kind of in a weird way here. So we go for the Shaddoll Dragon here, and then I chain in order to go into the Winda, because I want to bounce this guy back to the hand, because they can't really do anything with just these 2 on the field, so they need to special summon another guy, which would cut them off of special summoning again, due to the Winda. So that's ultimately what's accomplished, or what's being accomplished here. Out comes the Falco again. They're going to special summon this guy again, and then they're going to activate Tuning in order to grab the whatchamacallit. I don't know what happened here. They just had a stroke, I guess. I don't know. I'm making Nightmare Phoenix here. We're going to activate the effect of the Phoenix pitching, and then activating Winda in order to grab back the card that we just pitched to the graveyard. Technically, it's a different card, but who cares? Then we're going to activate the Incarnation in order to set the Dragon and just walk over the field. At this point, my opponent just concedes, realizing that the game is lost because their skill did not work. Therefore, turn Brain off and no longer think. Duel Links. Alright, and here we are once again going first. Now, this deck definitely prefers going first. It's one of the few decks that actually does prefer going first. And this game is really bad. I'm just gonna, yeah. That's all I'm gonna say about this. It's mostly due to the fact that this was me playing Morella and no lights. So I have no way of making Construct at all, which you will see is an issue. Anyway, out comes Squamata. It gets flipped by Amazoness Swordswoman, and then I draw 3 Canadia. It's just Canadia. Anyway, they go Defender, I flip the face down with Canadia, and I bring back with the Morella. This is also when I was playing Cat Shark, which is not very good. Not very good. Anyway, Canadia, bring back Canadia from the grave, flip everything face down, and then I make Opabinia. And I'm like, great, fantastic. Also, Cat Shark doesn't do anything in this deck. That was just a mistake. Anyway, I drew into Winda, and I'm going to flip it face up now in order to go into the Beast. And, yeah, I can't really do anything else. I just pass. So, you know, there's that. Anyway, activate the Beast effect, I pitch a card, and then I go for the last Canadia in order to flip a card face down so that I can keep my guy while also putting another guy on field. And this is where I decided, oh, it'd probably be better to have more Link monsters. I just didn't have anything I could go into. Like, I can't go Gravity Controller, I can't get anything off of the field. So I was like, oh, this would actually just be more useful if I had, like, just like a way of getting cards off of the field. Like, the Paleos are nice, and there are a lot of bodies, but, like, I can't do anything with those bodies because there's nothing to really do with them. Anyway, you know, I bring out this Canadia, and it just sits on the field for the entire duel. Like, legitimately, this Canadia right here will not leave the field. Out comes Wendigo. I activate the effect of the Wendigo, and then it dies. Wendigo has the effect where, if you didn't know, you can target a monster during either player's turn. Target a monster you control. It can't be destroyed by battle this turn with an opponent's special summoned monster. My opponent has not special summoned a single monster. They're just playing level 4 beatdown. These are also like the worst level 4 cards you've ever seen in your entire life, but it's fine. Anyway, I make Gristia here because I just need a way to deal damage. So there's that. Anyway, out comes Ryoryoku. Look, I'm not playing against the best of opponents, but I just wanted to talk about this cool deck that I made. Smile. It's not very cool. Anyway, out comes Beast. They're going to walk over the Gristia. I'm like, that's a-okay. Gristia is going to add back the Shaddoll Fusion. And then, literally, as soon as I added this back, I was like, oh, I literally do not have a way of summoning a light. So, oops. Anyway, I ended up going Beast, drew into Dragon, so I just pitched the Dragon and hit one of their back row. It was Mirror Wall. Hilarious. And then I go for the fusion here of Winda. Activate the effect of the Hedgehog to grab up Falco. And then activate the Olenoids, popping the last back row, chaining Dynamicious to put it onto the field. And then it was Michizuri. Where huh? Okay. Lightning Vortex. Away my field. Pitching last card in hand, which was Green Turtle Summoner. Very funny. And, yeah, now they just die to Winda. So, there's that. I mean, overall, this does give you the idea of what, like, the Paleos do in this deck, which is basically put a whole bunch of bodies onto the field for free, which is pretty cool, and give you, like, an additional control avenue to play Shaddolls, which I think is very fun. I think Shaddolls work way better as a control strategy, which is very, very nice. So, overall, there you go. That's what the deck does. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this is more so just... I wanted to talk about Duel Links. So that's basically what we're doing. I wanted to talk about the state of this game. I think this game has... I've talked about this a lot in a wide variety of different ways, but I more specifically want to talk about the obscene nature of skills right now. So right now, this is one of the weaker skills. In fact, I would dare say, of a top-tier deck, this is probably the weakest of the skills. Because it has a restriction that is, like, somewhat meaningful, but not, like, too meaningful. But it doesn't immediately get your plays. You don't immediately start playing the game because you have this skill. You don't immediately have a massive payoff or something like that. Like, you basically are just playing Shaddolls. That's it. Right? The biggest thing is that you get to send the 2 traps to the graveyard. That is by far the biggest thing, which is very good. You also get to recur a Shaddoll card, which is fine, but because you only get the 1 Winda from the skill, most of the time you're just getting an extra Winda. That's it. Sometimes you can get a different thing here or there, which can come up, but for the most part, you're just... Oh, cool. Now you have 2 Winda instead of 1. Woo. For the most part, that doesn't really change much. So it's okay, right? But it also allows you to play over 30 cards, which can matter. You know, it kind of matters, you know? Because now you're less likely to draw your... You don't have bricks, but, like, you're more likely to see the correct ratios, I guess, and stuff like that. It's very, like, arbitrary, right, in what the skill does, right? You're basically just able to play decently good Shaddolls, right? And a lot of the random cards, like Winda and Schism and Shaddoll Fusion, are all locked behind the skill, and you can't actually play them, which is really frustrating. It's really frustrating because now I have to basically build my deck in a very, very specific way. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Already has a lot of restrictions when it comes to deck building, especially compared to a wide variety of other games. Look at Magic, look at Pokemon, look at Hearthstone, look at literally any other TCG in the history of ever, and you will see that, like, almost every single one of them has a much better way of, like, showing deck diversity in the way that you can build your deck, just because of the way that, like, individual cards work, right? In Yu-Gi-Oh, we have very specific archetypes. You have to play a very specific amount of cards. And if you look at something like Duel Links, where you're now even more hindered by having to play not just specific archetypes, but specific cards within said archetype because of the skill basically forcing you into one thing, it becomes even more of an issue. It kind of stacks on top of that that problem that Yu-Gi-Oh already kind of has. Now, wouldn't necessarily call it like too big of an issue, but it does matter, right? This is extremely prevalent as well in like the OCG right now, where you have to play, you know, you have to side deck Molchummy, you have to main deck Maxi and all of its counters. So you're basically starting off with 3 cards in the side deck, as well as 9 cards in the main deck that you just already have accounted for before even choosing what deck to play, right? And Duel Links is very similar. You start off with the skill and all of its necessary requirements. And let me explain this in a more cohesive manner by showing you the top decks and their skills. Okay, so here I have pulled up, as you can see, Blue Eyes, the top best deck. And we all know Blue Eyes is not good. Okay? So obviously it's up here because of its skill. And it gets a new skill every like 5 days. But I want to showcase this skill in particular because honestly it is hard carrying this deck. 99% Battle Chronicle. This should be 100%. I've never seen anyone not play Battle Chronicle. What does this skill do? What does this skill do, Snow? During this duel, normal summon monsters with 2500 attack or defense without tree beating. Cool, great. We're Chronicle Magician, but who cares about that? Awesome, fantastic. So you can normal summon Blue Eyes without tree beating for free. In a 4,000 life point format, you can normal summon a 3,000 attack point monster for free. No restrictions. Now, mind you, I'm gonna bring up MBT real quick. MBT has a series called Junior Journey, where they play by the Junior Journey rules. If you don't know what those are, it's basically this. You could just tribute summon a guy, or you can normal summon a guy without tribute summoning. No tribute summoning. You can only activate 1 spell trap per turn. You can only set 1 card per turn. And I think that's it. So, how long do you think Blue Eyes was banned and or limited? Basically the entire run of that series. Why? Because having a 3,000 attack beat stick is absolutely insane. That you can just normal summon? Incredible. Now, to be fair, it did come off of the list when they got to, like, Zodiac format. Because by that point, it didn't matter. You were just playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh, basically. Duel Links is not quite there yet. So just that effect alone is a lot. Allowing you to just have a big beater on the field. That's pretty good. Just, boom, done. Here's a guy, it threatens you, you now have to deal with it, and I didn't have to spend any restrictions on it. Now let's talk about this card in particular, which is also treated as a normal monster, and fits the same requirements, but what does it do? It's actually an effect monster. You've been lied to. When it is normal or special summoned, target a spell trap your opponent controls and banish it. Cool. And where there aren't hand traps and stuff like that, and basically everything is reliant on things like Crackdown, things like Treacherous Trap Hole, things like what have you, that are all back row, spells and traps still, that's an insanely obscene effect. Just normal summon a 2500 attack beater that banishes a card from your back row. That banishes the answer to the card. That's wild. Okay? Now, hold on. That's just the first effect. Okay? Also, you cannot normal or special summon an effect monster with a level, except for those same types. So, spellcaster type, light or dark, or dragon, light type monster. So again, restricting what it is that you are able to play, right? Restricting deck building, restricting all of that stuff. Okay. I mean, it better be good if I'm doing these restrictions. Don't worry, it's fantastic. You can only use each of the following. You can only use this once per turn on a turn where Chronicle Sorcerer or level 7 or above monster is summoned or fusion summoned. Okay, stay with me. From your deck, add a Successor Soul or a quick play spell card with Dark Magician or Blue Eyes White Dragon in the card name to your hand. Now, what is Soul Successor? Tribute an effect monster. Target an effect monster your opponent controls. Send it to the grave. Special summon a level 7 or higher normal monster from hand or deck. Now, notably, this can't summon this guy, because it's only treated as a normal monster from hand or grave. I guess technically it could summon it from hand, but it can't summon it from deck, which is the important part. But this is removal, a way to dodge cards as well, which is pretty cool. But it is removal for an opponent's monster and replacing that monster with this guy. Now, hold on. It gets better. Because it just says Successor Soul or a quick play spell card. Now, notably, Ultimate Fusion is a card that has been implemented into this game that also allows you to fusion summon a fusion monster utilizing monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard and shuffling them back into the deck. Now, notably, this isn't too crazy for a fusion spell in, I don't know, Master Duel, but having a skill that searches it out, which means you can't respond to it, so your opponent gets the search for free, there's nothing you can do about that. And then on top of that, having this be able to go into things like Neo or Twin Burst or what have you, literally for free. I've also seen the wildest one is the, I don't know, what have you, the fusion that requires the Who is it? What is his name? The Ritual. Blackluster Soldier. Thank you. Oh my gosh. The Blackluster Soldier Blue Eyes fusion, or Blue Eyes Ultimate fusion. You shuffle those two back, and it's like a 5,000 attack point monster. And yeah, in a 4,000 attack point, or in a 4,000 life point game, that seems fair and balanced. Again, can't respond to the search. Just gets that for free. Anyway, what else? Sorry. Adds that card to your hand, and then you send a monster from your to your graveyard from deck or extra deck that isn't in effect monster. Okay? From deck or extra deck that isn't an effect monster. Wow, crazy. And that doesn't have a monster of the same name on your field or grave. Sorry, had to make that that small note. Now, notably, there's no once per turn on this. You just do this anytime you summon a guy. You just search a card for free. No restrictions. Okay, there are technically minor restrictions. But honestly, this is insane. First of all, restricting the way that you deck build. Second of all, freely getting cards to your hand that you can't interact with. Your opponent just gets it, right? And then also setting up the grave, and then also setting up removal, and then also setting up in OTK, and then also setting up whatever else you want to do with it. And then also allowing you to bypass restrictions that are inherently implemented into the game to make the game fair. Yeah, that seems like a great idea. Now, this is obviously on the extreme end. But this has become more and more common with Duel Links. And look, I enjoyed Duel Links for a while. I played it for a really long time. But at this point, it has become basically just dependent on whether or not Konami gives your deck a skill that is good. It is more and more reliant on your skill, more so, like the actual skill in the game, not necessarily how good you are at playing the game. And that is incredibly frustrating. Now, obviously, there's still skill expression involved in the game, at how well you utilize these decks and stuff like that. But you know, building a deck, planning a deck, etc., especially with how obscenely overpriced this game is and how difficult it is to create a new deck, it's nightmarish to try and build something. Again, I spent 2,000 gems, 40 packs, just to get a single SR card. Because I couldn't craft it. I have plenty of cards that I could get rid of, but I can't craft anything. I can't change anything. I just have to hope that I pull the card that I'm looking for. And let me tell you, I didn't. It wasn't simple. I'd already gone like halfway through that box too. Anyway, yeah, just real quick. Every single one of these is hard carried by their skills, except for maybe Sky Striker and Shaddoll. They're only slightly carried by their skill. But basically, every single one of these would not be here if it wasn't for the skill. Perform Age doesn't do anything without the skill. Do you want to know what Perform Age skill is? Let me show you. It is obscene as well. Basically, all you need to know is you send a monster, shuffle a monster on your field into the deck, then play a Perform Age monster from your deck to your field in face down defense position, or send a monster, it's the second effect, send a Perform Age monster from your hand to the grave to add a Perform Age monster from your deck to your hand. Now, notably, those are not once per duel. You just do that every turn. You just get an infinite amount of searches, get an infinite amount of guys, just for free. Why not? You know? So, yeah, all of these, you just freely put these guys onto your field. With no, again, no restrictions, no nothing. Nothing changes. You just play the game. I keep saying no restrictions. That's not it. Obviously, there are restrictions, but they're with deck building. They're not with how you are able to utilize said cards. You just get them for free. They're just, oh, you built your deck correctly. Congratulations. You now get a rank 4 for entirely free because we wanted you to play these new cards because they're new and we're going to make you spend money on this game. That's how we get you. And it's frustrating. It's worth waiting. Anyway, I've complained enough. I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. It is mostly, I enjoy the speed duel format. I think having a skill, having the different stuff like that, I just think it's not very well balanced because Konami is terrible at balancing. Their games are fun. Their games are unique. I really enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it is a very fun game and it's very dynamic and it's great. But Dear Lanta, this is some of the most obscene balancing I have ever seen for a pay-to-win game. It is egregious. And this is why I don't necessarily play this game all that often. And every time I do, I think it's going to be fun, and then it never is. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think that I'm absolutely talking out my ass and just insanely incorrect? Because honestly, I might be. I don't play this game enough. I would love to hear opinions from people who actually do play this game more often. I play it like once a month. And I've never enjoyed it. So, you know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that you guys did enjoy. Remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.